And I mean, we all kind of taint, I guess, what we report. It can be tainted from time to time with personal feelings. But the idea that they had provided this much cover, particularly for this family, for so long in the face of so many allegations and missteps, really boggles the mind that they will continue to do that.
Well, you talk about journalism standards. The New York Times has a page of their journalism standards. And what we have documented at our institute, Just Facts, time and time again, is they do not live by those standards. And when you confront them about it, you get back, I've gotten back a nasty email from a New York Times reporter because they just don't want to deal with the reality of that they have a job to do. They're supposed to be neutral, and they're not doing that. Now, I'll give you a prime example.
Sure.
Every year, our institute commissions a poll of voters to find out what they believe about public policy issues. And what we have found, we've done the poll 3 years, is that voters are serially misinformed about the major issues that affect them.
Jim, what do you think? You got sweatpants. You were wearing sweatpants when we sent you this email.
At the time I got the email saying this was the topic, I was wearing sweatpants. Now, I've been married 18 years, and if sweatpants caused divorce, we would have been done a long time ago.
Is there a double standard, though? Is it okay for guys to wear sweatpants, but women have to step up and look a little bit different?
I think there can be a double standard, but I think this raises an important point, which is...
It does?
It does.
This discussion?
I think people have a tendency to put their best foot forward out in public and, like, not be their best at home. And I think it's important to be your best you can be for your spouse. However, I think it's more important how you treat them than how you look.
Absolutely. All right.
The problem is not that people aren't paying enough taxes. People are paying on average. If you take all the taxes taken at all levels of government, divided by the number of households in the U.S., it's about $31,000 per household. I think people are paying enough, and I think Washington needs to cut down on the wasteful spending that's going on.
But at the same time, we're looking at a time where the economy is bad, where a lot of people need help. So you're saying you want to cut on people who need welfare, people who need these types of services during a time when the economy is bad?
I think need is a very subjective word. I think a lot of these people, for a lot of people, it's not a matter of need, it's a matter of want. These green energy companies want extra money. That goes in their pockets, and when they fail, we're stuck with the tab. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they want money. They want our money. The president says, I'll give it to you, but what he's saying is, I'll give you their money. It's not coming out of his pocket. So I don't think it's a matter of need. I think it's a matter of want. What makes Rational Conclusions unique is that the book is substantiated by very highly credible sources. My objective was to document all key points so thoroughly that no reasonable person would doubt them.
And money that would typically go to incentivize people to work is not going there. Wages stagnate, and the average person is blaming their boss, going, how come I haven't had a raise? When meanwhile, they should be looking at the federal government and saying, that is the cause of the problem. And that's what's really nefarious about this.
It's been 7 years since the assault weapons ban expired. Homicides have dropped faster than they have in the 7 years after the Australia gun control law took effect. So again, that doesn't mean necessarily that one action is more effective than the other. It just means this is a very complicated issue, and a lot of people make simplistic assertions, and the press is as bad at this as politicians and as individuals, activists, and say, well, look at this. This was a tremendous success, and really the data doesn't show that. And what we aim to do with Just Facts is get the data out there and let people make their own decisions and realize the caveats that are inherent in all of this. And both sides do this.
We're with tonight one of the best men in America in terms of making the complex very simple. James Agresti is the president of the nonprofit Just Facts, and he has an extensive outlay of subjects and topics on his website that he makes, I mean, just come alive.
Every dime taken in taxes from a corporation ultimately is taken from its owners, its workers, or its customers. Corporation writes the check to the government, but people bear the burdens of those taxes, and people often don't even realize they're bearing that burden.
So some say, yes, a stimulus will help in the short term, but universally, I'm talking Congressional Budget Office and any honest economist will tell you in the long term that debt will harm our country. It may have some short-term effects that might be helpful in getting out of recession, but over the long haul, it's going to cost jobs, it's going to make things more expensive, it's going to reduce our standard of living and make life tougher on everyone.
Hello, Dan. You're on WRKF with Jim Agresti. you believe that Christians should stop obstructing tax increases in order to, have social programs for the poor people, if we're going to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ?
That's getting off into policy, which is something you deal with in your firm, Just Facts. But
I'd be happy to answer that question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. When Jesus told us to care for the poor and to care for our neighbor and love our neighbor, it was a commandment to us as individuals. It wasn't a commandment that we are to take money from other people and use that to care for our neighbors, but that we are to care for our neighbors.
I'm not a prognosticator. I cannot tell you what Congress is going to do. What I'm telling you is the facts show they should do something. They should rein in the spending. Just as a household needs to keep their budget in bounds, so does our government. And to think that we can get away with it because it's the government is a fool's game. It has very real consequences.